Hi, I'm Anna, a first year undergraduate studying economics and management. What's really lovely about the E&M course at Oxford is that you have access to kind of three homes. You have your college where you meet all of the people on your course in Freshers Week and people from other courses, and it's kind of like a home base that you can always go back to, and often you live there. But then you also have the business school where you meet the rest of your cohort for E&M, and you can hang out, play table tennis in summer, which sadly we haven't been able to do because of COVID, and just enjoy being part of the business school. We're the only undergraduate course in Oxford that has access to the business school, and the Sainsbury's Library is one of the best libraries in Oxford. It was recommended to me in Freshers Week as one of the best, and it's really nice because they have a quiet space where you can study on top, which is particularly good if you're rushing to make a deadline or just want to focus for a few hours. And then there's also on the bottom floor an area where you can just chill with friends and talk and do more collaborative work. The course itself, in the first year you kind of study three main topics. So there's economics, finance and management, and you study those through the first two terms, and then you prepare for your first year exams during Trinity when the sun is shining and you can make the most of the table tennis at the business school. In second year you get to specialise more and you can choose what you want to do, because you'll find naturally that you kind of gravitate towards something, and second and third year is the chance where you can choose all of your modules from scratch and just go for what you're interested in. So I chose to study economics and management in order to be able to understand the world better, and who private and why public and private and public agents make the decisions and choices that they do. I chose to study at Oxford because obviously the university has an amazing reputation, but you also get the benefit of tutorials where your tutors really push you, and often your college tutors will kind of know you by a few tutorials in and kind of know where to push you and what you don't know, in a fun way that pushes you and expands your learning and really makes you understand the topics in depth. They also really know what they're talking about, so you get the knowledge of all their wealth of knowledge gets transferred to you. You'd like to study it if you don't mind reading and you don't mind maths. So you've got the mathematical part of economics and the essays, and general management is more essay focused, which is really nice because you get quite a nice blend. You can kind of pick and choose and you get a bit bored of one or the other. You also get a more theoretical side of management than other universities, but it's also a really nice mix because you get to economics and management kind of complement each other quite well, and you can kind of blend them together a bit.
My name is Akin Bami and I'm a first year E&M student at St Hugh's College. In your first year studying economics and management, you will have an economics aspect and a management aspect. A lot of you are probably very familiar with economics and most likely not too familiar with management. So the economics side includes microeconomics, macroeconomics, and probability and statistics. And then the management side includes financial management, which has subcategories of financial reporting and financial analysis, and then general management. So in general, you will cover your course content within the first two terms of Oxford. So that's your Michaelmas and Hilary term, although depending on which college you're at, the structure may vary slightly. And the economic side is a blend of mainly problem sheets and a few essays. There are options in your exams for you to decide which one you want to do. And then the management side is a blend of heavy essays in terms of general management, and then financial management being problem sheets and problem questions. Overall, I would say that the course gives a very strong balance, as the general management side touches on how we got to the management of today. So for those of you which are unaware of management, it's sort of topics such as entrepreneurship, competitive strategy, marketing, branding, those kind of aspects which come into being a manager and trying to manage like organizational behavior. Then the financial management aspect touches on your financial reports, so that's your income statements, balance sheets, and financial derivatives, as well as discount rates and other things like that, which are used frequently in the financial sector and financial industry. Now, overall, my advice to you, guys who are looking to apply for this course at Oxford, is if you're passionate about economics, if you're intrigued about management, or if you're just looking for a course that gives you a strong and a well-rounded insight into the economy and how things function in reality, then this is a good degree for you. I know that there may be an understanding or a belief that, oh, Oxford might not be the place for me, or this course is really competitive, I might not get in, I shouldn't apply. But I would say don't let that slow you down. It doesn't matter what background you're from, but it's a very warm environment and people welcome you with open arms, because there's no reason why the person who gets selected can't be you. And just in general about the community, when it comes to E&M students, they're all welcoming people. They're there to assist you. They're there to help you. We have the business school, which is one of the best buildings in Oxford, probably the best building in terms of Oxford University. You know, we're the only undergraduate students which are allowed in there. There's a nice space in terms of revision for library space, etc. So don't come into this idea that, oh, Oxford isn't for you, I shouldn't give it a shot. Please do take a shot at it and ask questions, go do your research, and just really try to communicate your passion across.
Hello, I'm Francis. I'm an E&M from New College, just here to share a few things that I think would be helpful to know before you apply for economics and management at Oxford. You may know that the course is broken down just in first year into 3 parts: economics, general management and financial management. So that means that economics is only actually going to be a third of your time in first year. Later on you can do like 6 parts economics and 2 parts management, all the other way around. Those are the sort of limits. And a lot of people do it the other way around because they end up really liking management. Economics at university is very different to what you might have done at secondary school. So I really liked at A-level the fact that economics is really discussion driven and there were no wrong answers. You could sort of argue your case. That isn't really the case in first year, at least. You're kind of taught these models as if they are very scientific, and you focus on deriving the sort of maths behind them. So if you like calculus, you'll love first year economics. But it's a lot of that, and the scope for your own sort of views is, maybe a sentence at the end of a paragraph in an essay. To get an idea of what you would be doing, I'd recommend the core econ textbook. It's a free textbook. We use it in first year. It's online, and maybe just look at the parts on indifference curves because you're spending a lot of time doing that in first year. To be honest, wherever you're doing economics, you're doing different curves. As for general management, that is the part where you have all these great discussions. It's really discussion based, and you have really enjoyable tutorials where you just sit around and you talk about what's happening in the news, how it relates to, could be how workers are treated at different firms, how different radical sort of ways of structuring a firm, or different strategies in different markets. So it's really interesting stuff actually, and that it took up the most of my time in first year because at my college at least we had to do an essay every week for it and a lot of reading. So it took up a lot of time, but those readings more often than not were actually pretty interesting for a sort of taste of what it would be like before applying or before arriving at Oxford. I had no idea what management really was. I would recommend reading some classic articles from the Harvard Business Review because that's something that you will do a little bit of, and those are the sort of most interesting articles you'll read for general management. So that's stuff from like Chandler or Porter, or really anyone that HBR have got like collections, but also you'll probably be able to find some free online just for an idea. If you do get onto the course and you want to get a sort of head start, which you really don't have to, but Paul Willman's Understanding Management, it's a sort of whistle-stop tour of everything you'll do in first year general management. If I'd read that before, you'll be laughing. It really covers a lot of stuff, so you just have a grounding and understand what's going on the whole time. Financial management, that's the last component that you would do in first year. This is what, to me, as far as I had no idea this existed. It's split into reporting and analysis. So first term, you'll just be doing reporting, which is accounting, basically. Very practical skill. I still don't know much about accounting, but I was very lost at first because it's unlike anything else I'd done. So I'd really recommend, if you're thinking about applying for E&M, definitely if you get in, take the time to look up what financial statements are. They're probably great little introductory guides on YouTube, I'd imagine. So I had to resort to them a few times because yeah, it's just something completely new, or maybe it won't be to you, but it definitely was to me. The second time we were doing analysis, and if you want an idea of what that sort of is, look up this thing called the CAPM model, Capital Asset Pricing Model. Really don't worry if you don't understand it. Amazing if you do, but don't expect to. That's just sort of taste of like the sort of stuff you'd be doing in financial analysis. It's sort of like picking a portfolio and things like that. It's very mathsy. Yeah, so those are the components of the course. The last thing I'll say is that economics management has a reputation for being easy and manageable. If you haven't heard that, you definitely hear it when you arrive. I would say it is difficult. It does take up a lot of time. You will have a lot of work to do, essays to do, but it is manageable, more so than other subjects at Oxbridge. And if there are other things that you want to do, and there are so many opportunities, the business school is great for providing all these opportunities, then you will have time to pursue them, you know, if you're responsible for your work and things. So I'm seeing it's a great course. Has great value.
Hi there, my name is Eddie. I'm an international student from Melbourne, Australia, and I am currently a first year studying economics and management at Christchurch. Because of my interest in economics mainly, and I thought management would be an interesting real life application aspect of this that would really add on to the more theory focused economics basis, which is also added on that Oxford provides what you call online interviews, which wasn't offered at all universities when I applied. So that was a massive bonus that I didn't have to travel during my time of exams in order to just complete an interview. Through the course of my first year, we've studied a couple of modules. For economics, we went through the micro and macro as the classics. And for management, we went through the general management, which covered a range of topics, one essentially each week, where you had to do a range of additional readings on a topic of choice and write an essay about it essentially every week. In addition to this, which also provides an aspect called financial management, which you can think as leading to all things finance related. So in the first term, we did accounting, and in the second term, we ended up doing financial analysis. And it's really a fantastic aspect which I wasn't quite aware of beforehand, because it adds that sort of practical, down-to-earth aspect of, you know, economics, which sometimes people do critique it for being a little bit more of that castle in the air. In many ways, I think the workload is something you have to adjust to. It's not just about having to spend time on something anymore, it's about spending quality time. That I much rather spend 30 minutes on high efficiency doing something rather than maybe about spending an hour and a half with just maybe shifting on my phone, switching to another game, coming back, something like that. But it's not undoable in any means, and it's very easy to get away with doing little work that compared to other subjects, especially the extremely extensive writing ones, which is why some people do call easier management. But everything comes back to Hunchy, right? Everything they do for a reason, and the course is designed for this specific purpose. All of what you're doing in term is preparation for your exam, and if you don't do that well, it's only going to bite yourself in the back. And if you have gotten in, I think it's undoubted that we all have a sense of pride about ourselves, that we don't want to just send off something and then just leave it. So in many ways, it comes from that external ones where the tutors and people will let you know that you will have to do some things, and they will seem like a lot, though they're doable. And it also comes from that internal pressure that you want to do well, and you want to do quite well. I think for my peers especially, it's actually quite diverse in terms of background. So I'm Asian Australian, and I've met a couple of international students already. Of course, this year we never had the opportunity to really greet everyone in the lecture rooms and really have a chance to just talk after lectures. But from, what I've learned of everyone, it seems like a very well oriented and differentiated group. And, it's exciting that we're going to get the chance to meet them more. I think in terms of the career prospects, this course is actually quite diverse. It gives you very well insight into finance and the stuff that you need for financial analysis. I know a lot of friends do go into banking as a sector, or maybe banking as a sector they're extremely interested in. But it also prepares you in many other ways. The preparation for a PhD economics, for instance, if you're interested in academia, is something that's been repeatedly mentioned to us. And similarly, management is just such a flexible subject that whilst you might think of it as almost, wishy-washy, maybe a little bit too abstract, you'll find that tends to be more useful in many ways than the hard mathematical calculations, whether it be the derivatives or the Lagrangian forms and all of that sort of stuff. It's interesting, but it prepares you in a multitude of ways, which I think is something that other universities or even courses in Oxford itself really provides. And I think that's a benefit of having the business school come into hand, as well as the actual Oxford University itself. And speaking of which, the Oxford Business School is quite amazing in both the build-ups, the opportunities, the different things you get to experience, hearing from essentially in the same presence as the MPhils, as some of these great people. So it provides some really, really good things and some good insights. Again, it's extremely important to stay away from the stereotypes. You have to understand that, especially in Oxford, how independent each of the colleges were and how they really were looking for some people. And they're not just looking for one type of people. They're often looking for a group or someone who really do work well together. So in that sense, I think being yourself is probably better than being someone that you're not actually and thinking that that would take more attraction than your normal self. I think those were part of the things that the tutors really saw in me. So be yourself, know what you are, and knowing that it's not a mechanical process that you're going through. It's real people and really, really smart people. So yeah. I think a key thing about a degree like this is to remember that the stereotype isn't necessarily true. I applied to this program without knowing about any of the acceptance rates, without knowing about any of other stats about this sort of course. Essentially, it was essentially the only choice that I had at Oxford, and it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I love doing economics, and in my mind, I think that helped me drastically. There wasn't really, I was planning every single move. It was more, I was driven by what came my way, and I think that showed in my interviews that I took opportunities and everything that came into my way. I didn't go out of my way and spend additional time to grasp the common ones, but instead I took full advantage of everything that I had over here. So for instance, the use of an agricultural farm, which was my family business, it wasn't something especially spectacular compared to some people who might think they had an internship at huge banks or having a family history in finances. But to me, it was something that was unique to myself and that really sparked my interest in economics.